Deadpool and Wolverine has now been released in theatres, and it's a fun team-up movie that brings both the MCU and the Fox universe together for a cameo-filled trip. There's many questions come the end over what implications the movie has for the future of the MCU and whether we will see any of these characters again, so in this explained analysis, I'm going to be giving you my breakdown of the film, discussing full plot details, the ending, and what it could mean going forward. There will be spoilers in this video, so if you haven't watched the film yet, then I would recommend checking it out before watching my breakdown. Before I get into it though, if you want to see more on upcoming releases like Deadpool and Wolverine, then don't forget to support this upload by giving it a like rating and subscribing to the channel. But without further ado, let's dive into my explained video for Deadpool and Wolverine. So Deadpool and Wolverine wasted no time in giving us the lowdown on the new installment setting. It's revealed that Ryan Reynolds' Deadpool resides on Earth 10,005, the same world as the X-Men, and where Wolverine would meet his end in 2017's Logan. In the early stages of the movie, we find out that Wade Wilson used Cable's time travel device to pop over to Earth 616 in 2018 and ask to join the Avengers. Unfortunately, Happy Hogan turned him down politely in a flashback scene, and Deadpool later admits to destroying the device upon his return. The TVA from Loki was aware of Deadpool's actions but decided not to interfere until now. That Loki series emphasised the organisation's vast influence, and we learn that one of this movie's villains, Mr. Paradox, has been assigned to oversee the demise of Earth 10,005. Before Deadpool's encounter with Mr. Paradox though, the film shifts to the aftermath of Deadpool 2, where Wade is a car salesman alongside Peter in Earth 10,005. A surprise party is thrown for him, attended by characters from both Deadpool 1 and 2, revealing that he and Vanessa have parted ways. In fact, the crux of the movie revolves around Deadpool's efforts to mend his relationship with Vanessa and demonstrate his desire to make a positive impact. But during this party, the TVA shows up to apprehend him. When Deadpool finally makes his way to the TVA, he's bombarded with glimpses of various timelines, including potential moments that involve him. Among the footage, he catches snippets from the Avengers and Captain America: The First Avenger. One particular scene shows Thor cradling a dying Deadpool, hinting at a possible fate in Avengers: Secret Wars. However, upon closer inspection, it's clear that this is just a playful nod to Loki's demise in Thor: The Dark World, using a different universe version of Deadpool for comedic effect. Meanwhile, Mr. Paradox, eager to seize control of the TVA, unveils his Time Ripper, a device capable of erasing timelines in an instant. Concerned about Wade's interference and suspecting that a superior wants to murk on Earth 616, Paradox extends an offer for Deadpool to join the sacred timeline. He also instructs him to locate Wolverines, emphasizing the concept of an anchor being in each reality. In Earth 10,005, Logan's sacrifice will eventually lead to that world's demise in approximately 2,000 years. Initially, Deadpool decides against it when he realizes it would mean never seeing his friends again, and he embarks on a quest to find a new Wolverine to take the place of the one who sacrificed himself to save X-23 in Logan. It's worth noting that anchor beings are distinct from nexus beings. They are described as entities with the power to influence the likelihood of an event and create nexus events that would not otherwise occur, and in the past, the TVA pruned their timelines. It has been confirmed that this movie occurs after Loki Season 2, during which he refers to Earth 616 as the sacred timeline and implies that Earth 10,005 is just one of countless branches. As for Earth 616's anchor being, there are rumours it's Tom Holland's Spider-Man, but we'll have to see if that turns out to be true. Moving on, Wade embarks on a journey through various universes, encountering different versions of Wolverine. He meets a miniature Wolverine, a Henry Cavill Wolverine, Patch, and even witnesses a Wolverine brawl with Hulk. This is also around the time the opening scene of the movie unfolds, with Wade at Wolverine's grave from the end of Logan, confirming his death and that the Logan in this movie is an alternate version of the character. While here, the TVA reappears to apprehend Wade, but he ends up killing most of them. And eventually, he comes across the worst Wolverine, who is a more washed up variant of Logan. After some initial disagreements, they make their way to the TVA and attempt to negotiate with Paradox, who has created a Time Ripper to sever timelines in order to save their respective worlds. However, they are instead transported to the Void. Wade and Logan engage in their first battle upon arrival, right by the iconic 20th Century Fox logo featured in the footage from the trailers. Their scuffle is abruptly halted by a figure who appears to be Captain America, portrayed by Chris Evans. To their surprise, Sabretooth and Pyro also show up to escort them to their leader, and after the dust settles, it is unveiled that Evans is actually portraying Johnny Storm from the classic Fantastic Four series. A short fight between Pyro and Evans concludes, with Pyro emerging victorious, and it also leads to a fierce showdown between Logan and Sabretooth, where Logan swiftly decapitates his opponent. Afterwards, they are brought before their leader, who is revealed to be Cassandra Nova, the twin sister of Professor X. And in a shocking turn of events, she brutally murders Johnny Storm, leading Wolverine and Deadpool to flee after she unleashes the deadly Storm Goliath. As they make their escape, they encounter a kinder version of Deadpool known as Nicepool, who is unscarred like the traditional Deadpool and is accompanied by a dog named Dogpool. After Deadpool bonds with Dogpool, Nicepool directs them towards the Borderlands to seek out a group known as the Resistance. Travelling in a minivan, Wolverine and Deadpool have a heart-to-heart conversation, which eventually escalates into an emotional fight, and for me, this was arguably the best scene in the film. As they recover from their all-night fight, they are eventually rescued by the Resistance, and to their surprise, the Resistance is led by Jennifer Garner's Electra, Wesley Snipes' Blade, Channing Tatum's Gambit, and Daphne Keene's X-23 from Logan. Together, they agree to join forces to take down Cassandra Nova by using Juggernaut's helmet to neutralize her powers. The group devises a plan to infiltrate Cassandra Nova's lair, retrieve the helmet, and use it to weaken her abilities, ultimately forcing her to send them back to Earth 10,005. In a fierce battle, they confront Nova's army, with Deadpool and Wolverine managing to reach her throne, while the others successfully eliminate the majority of her forces. When they come face to face with Cassandra, she initially gains control and, using her powers, delves into Logan's mind. But X-23 is able to grab Juggernaut's helmet and toss it to Logan. At the time, they didn't know that Pyro had struck a deal with Paradox to eliminate Cassandra. So just as Deadpool places the helmet on her head, Pyro fires multiple shots and wounds her. Despite this initial chaos, Logan chooses not to kill Cassandra, as she is their only hope of escaping the Void. They take the helmet off, and in doing so, Cassandra takes advantage of the situation, uses a sling ring that she obtained from a variant of Doctor Strange, and opens up an interdimensional portal back to Earth 10,005. As Deadpool and Wolverine use that portal to leave, Blade, Electra, and Gambit smile up at them as Goliath's deadly cloud closes in to kill them. For now, Cassandra Nova also utilizes the portal to enter Earth 10,005. She takes Pyro along with her and informs him before killing him that she plans to use the Time Ripper to act as a god and eradicate every timeline until only the Void is left. When she does reach 10,005, she hurls Deadpool and Wolverine through a store window. As they try to catch up, they are faced with the Deadpool Corps, a group of different Deadpools from various dimensions, including Lady Deadpool, Cowboy Deadpool, and Headpool. Nova anticipated this, knowing that the corpse can regenerate endlessly. Wolverine then finally dons his classic mask, and both him and Deadpool take on the corpse together. In the midst of this battle, Nicepool, who cannot regenerate, sacrifices himself as a shield, losing his head in the process. And despite Nicepool's limitations, the other Deadpools continue to regenerate, prolonging the fight. Fortunately though, their attention is diverted when Peter Paul arrives. Blake Lively's Lady Deadpool reminds us that every Deadpool has a Peter, allowing Deadpool and Wolverine to slip away, while Peter leads the corpse back into the Void through the portal. So this brings us to the ending, and it's here that we find out whether they can stop Nova, and also whether there's any consequences for the future of the MCU. Deadpool and Wolverine arrive at Paradox's base and demand to know how to shut down the Time Ripper. Paradox explains that creating an energy bridge between its power sources would short-circuit the machine, but the person creating the bridge would likely die. Logan and Wade argue over who should make the sacrifice, with Wolverine feeling guilty over not being able to save his world. He pleads with Deadpool to let him do it, showing him a bloodied photograph of his lost loved ones. Deadpool initially seems to agree, but ultimately locks Logan out and sacrifices himself instead. As Deadpool begins to disintegrate, Wolverine breaks in and joins him, causing the Time Ripper to explode along with Cassandra Nova. So after the successful rescue mission, Mr. Paradox faces the consequences of his failed attempts to take over the TVA as the real authorities finally catch up to him for his dangerous crimes across the multiverse. B-15 from Loki arrives on the scene, acknowledging that Deadpool and Wolverine's heroic actions have prevented their world from certain doom. Soon after, Logan insists that he won't be sticking around, but Wade introduces him to Blind Al, and eventually Logan finds himself surrounded by Wade and their closest friends at the table. So it seems like Wolverine has become a part of their inner circle, leaving us wondering whether this newfound friendship is just a temporary arrangement or something more long-lasting. While there, Logan makes sure that Wade talks to Vanessa once more, and surprisingly, they start to reconnect. After the TVA took Paradox into custody, Deadpool requested their help in rescuing Blade, Electra, Gambit, and X-23, and the agent's response left their fate uncertain. However, at this final gathering, Logan is spotted in conversation with X-23, hinting that the TVA may have come through. So it appears that these characters are now safe and well in the saved Fox universe. Moving on, there was also a post-credit scene featured at the very end of the movie. The film skips the traditional 2 post-credit scenes because most of the credits are dedicated to a fun celebration of 20th Century Fox's superhero movies, paying homage to the X-Men, Deadpool, and Wolverine. Behind-the-scenes clips from these films are included, with Hugh Jackman expressing his desire to meet fan expectations. It's ultimately a heartfelt tribute to the Fox era of superhero movies. However, the post-credit scene adds a humorous twist, with Chris Evans reprising his role as Johnny Storm from the Fantastic Four. Deadpool reveals that Johnny used bad language to describe Cassandra Nova and preferred facing death over working for her. While his death was initially shocking, the post-credit scene clarifies the situation, showing Johnny confirming Deadpool's claims before his demise, shifting the blame away from the merc with a mouth. So overall, it's just a fun little moment that acts as both comedy and further clarification on what actually happened to the Human Torch. So now that I've broke down all the main events of Deadpool and Wolverine, you may be left wondering if both the central characters are now in the MCU. Well, they exist within the vast MCU multiverse, but they do not inhabit the same world as the MCU and Avengers. Upon Deadpool's arrival at the TVA, Paradox offers him the chance to become part of Earth 616, where he witnesses various scenes from movies and TV series. Despite the opportunity to join the MCU, Deadpool decides to protect his own universe and remains in the Fox one, which is now integrated into the MCU multiverse. Every Marvel film has been combined into the franchise via the multiverse, so they have in a way joined the MCU, but they can also exist in their own Fox universe too. So at the end, it's unknown whether we'll see any of these characters again, but my main guess would be that Deadpool and a few characters linked to his movies would make an appearance in future MCU projects like the upcoming Avengers movies. Kevin Feige said previously that this film will kickstart a fresh mutant era for Marvel, and with X-Men characters making appearances in the film, the pathway is now clear for mutants to make their official debut in the MCU. For most of these characters though, I'm guessing that it would be new versions of them, or new actors playing the role, and that's because this film just seemed like an ode to previous versions and paid homage to that Fox X-Men world. So ultimately, we'll have to see what happens, but right now, we know that the Foxverse is living on as its own world within the wider MCU multiverse. But that was my breakdown and analysis for Deadpool and Wolverine. Overall, I'm of two minds about the film, one being that it's a highly entertaining feature with boundless amounts of fun, but then another of it being a story that isn't anything completely new. The emotional anchor of the film surrounding this Wolverine dealing with the consequences in his world, and Deadpool wanting to be someone who makes a difference, could have been taken a bit further and in a more meaningful direction, but ultimately it was carried by the entertainment and cameos throughout. That's not necessarily the worst thing because of the nature of this film, but I do think it could have been taken a bit further. It is a very enjoyable film to watch as a Marvel or X-Men fan, but as a straight up piece of filmmaking, I wouldn't put it in any conversation with say Logan or the original X-Men movies, as they took similar themes and motifs and covered them in a much more impactful way. When it comes to the filmmaking itself, this was also very mediocre at best, but I understand that many people like this approach to comic book movies and that this wasn't the big focus of the film's direction. So ultimately, it's just a fun time at the movies, and its entertainment makes up for a lack of meaningful storytelling or competent filmmaking. But let me know down below in the comment section what you thought of the film and whether you think any of the big things that happened have bigger implications for the MCU going forwards. For more videos on upcoming film releases like Deadpool and Wolverine, then subscribe to the channel and turn on your notifications. Also, if you enjoyed this video, remember to leave a like, rating, and follow me on social media via the links in the description. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed it. I've been Cortex, and as always, make some noise.